Start recording. Welcome to our final part of our three-part series, which is all to do with human design, business, and personal development. So these three videos, I really wanted to give you an insight into my world, how I bring human design into the different facets of my life. Not only for the number of years I learned human design, used it myself personally before taking it into like a profession, into a business, into the I Am Academy, into the I Am course. All of these things have been created because of the passion and desire that I found within this and the lives that it was changing, not only myself, but others. And I think this is really important when we have the conversation around human design and business, because we have to be our first person, right? We have to be the first person that we actually start to support with human design in our own life and business. And then we can take that on to others. And I think it's going to be a really beautiful journey for you. And so just jump in the chat. I need to know who I'm talking to, as far as like, what is your interest for being here today? Like, do you have a business that you would love to incorporate human design into? Are you just looking to utilize human design for yourself as, say, like an employee? That's a whole different conversation versus someone who's actually truly has the capacity to utilize something like this in their own specific field, in their own, say, specific niche or area of passion. And what I also help a lot of people do, which I'll talk about briefly when I talk about the certification course, is how people can actually bring all of these different areas of their life together and then like utilize the human design module, which kind of seems to be the glue for a lot of them, right? Not only from a personal development perspective, but also connecting to their clients. So yeah, just jump in the chat where you're at. And while you're doing that, I just realized I completely forgot about something on my presentation. So I'm going to fix that quickly before I... So Connie, she owned a digital marketing agency. Oh, this is so exciting. And want to know more of how to work with that don't make work with who to work with that don't make me crazy. All right. Okay. So you want to highlight some clients that, yeah, are not the right ones for you. I get that. Jen, yes, incorporate still building self-belief, wellness coaching and workshops. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely can do that. Let's do this. Let's do. All right, that'll do. Okay, cool. So Lottie has, I have a business and I want to incorporate human design into it. We're going to talk later. We can probably, even if you want to, we could just talk straight after this. If then you don't have to wait. Let's do that because you're in the middle of the night. So let's just, as soon as we jump off, we'll jump over onto WhatsApp. All right, to have that chat. That's perfect. I actually potentially want to change my business in a drastic way. Can't wait to talk about that. Right now, freelancing content creator and a VA. Oh, I might need your support. But wishing to move towards wellness, also yoga instructor and coaching. I love this. You can see how like we're all in the same space, don't we? We are multifaceted beings. Okay. That's why I know that you're here. I know that you don't fit into a box, right? You probably even struggle to say, who are you and what do you do? Well, what day is it? And like, what help do you need? And then I can just put that hat on because, I've got it all, right? And so sometimes it is really hard for us creative types who are very, say, intuitive and instinctual in the way that we help and coach and guide others or heal others, that we struggle to be able to communicate that. We struggle to be able to voice that in a way that the people that need to hear and have the resources and the knowledge and the wisdom and the support that we have to give other people, right? They can't access us because we don't know how to communicate with them. And this for me kind of bridges that gap, right? It allows us to not only understand how we're best to do that so it feels congruent for us. We may have to learn a few new skills and that's okay too. But when we do that, we're actually going to get those results. And then also when you know who you're talking to and how they're experiencing the world, we could often look at the lens slightly differently compared to how we see the world, which is really, really cool. Beth is a projector, so being seen. Yeah, there's a big thing about projectors. If any projectors are watching this call about, but I have to wait to be invited. And like, how do I show up actively in my business? So many ways, like projectors are built for success. Like success is your life code. Okay. And so, yeah, there's absolutely no excuse when it comes to being successful or being thriving in the area that you're really passionate about. It's like, how can we best align you to do that and be seen in that space of authority, right? And get out into the world. 100%. Some of the most powerful leaders and guides in the world are projectors, but it's just finding that space that you know how to shine, be a little bit brighter, not being bogged down, being busy. Yeah, like being a generator. You're not here to be the generator. And it's hard when you've got 3 kids, Beth. I get it. Like it's life is busy, but yeah, we can often maybe create a new little container, a new baby number 4, which is your business, right? And then we start working with that energy in a slightly different mindset. How I can still teach children, but in a totally different capacity and more about their well-being. Yes, beautiful. So Anthea is a teacher and she's really passionate about what she does. But imagine if all teachers, if your teacher knew about your human design, or just knew about human design in general, and the way that how much more compassion and understanding that we could have for our children as they're growing and learning and developing, right? And not just because this is what the syllabus says or this is what the book says. So beautiful. I'm so grateful for that. Jess says, I'm wanting to dive deep into myself and look into creating a path to create a business, to coach and to guide others in the future. Yeah, so you're like brand new, Jess, into this space. Is that correct? That's really exciting. And the fact that you're coming into this space of that more entrepreneurial minded, yep, you are, with like, I'm 7 years into business, and this is just like the best thing ever. Like, imagine if I had this when I began, but that I'm a 1-3. I had to go through that stuff to realize, you know, the differences sometimes, so I can show you both sides of the coin. Like, I can show you an easier way through. So Andrea's insurance financial advisor, doTERRA agent, tax credit help, as much as I can do, build an empire for baby girl, and I'm needing help with starting to grow everything and have it all in one thing. Yeah, wow. Okay. And so is this, Andrea, are you more here like for yourself, darling, so you can like operate better in business as like are you self-employed? You're self-employed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like really just understanding yourself, so that you can then go out there and really truly, like, because you're not really there to coach other people, you're just there to like use a strength and a gift that you have, do that in a really beautiful way. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, this is awesome. Let's go. Hey Melinda, I see you jump in there. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Actually, let's bring it over onto this screen. And now I've buggered it up. Let's try again. All right, can you see all that? We are talking all things business, personal development. The course that I teach is weeks and weeks long in this topic. Today, you're really going to get an insight into, I think, the capacity that is here for you. Okay, ways that you can really start to fine tune the areas of your charts that you want to look into. If you're one of those people that really want to DIY this journey, totally doable. Does take longer. It took me 2 years, I think, of DIYing human design. I'm very good at it. I've got a defined ajna, I've got a 1-3. You give me Google, you give me some books, you give me YouTube, like there's not much I can't figure out. And I know that there's lots of people out there like that, but human design still stumped me, right? And it really wasn't until I went and found someone who I could study from, like who had basically brought it all together. I was like, okay, now I know how to work with this. So when I go back out into the world and learn all the things, I know where those puzzle pieces go into my life. Does that make sense? So yeah, you're going to get a really good understanding of all the puzzle pieces that are out there available for you today. And then, you know, if I've got some courses too that you can come in and learn more in a more succinct fashion, if that's something that suits you. And then also I want to do some mini readings at the end too. I can't dive super deep, because normally when I do these kind of mentoring, I actually go and spend time, like I actually go in and look up your chart, I look up your gates, I look, like when we go into this level of depth, it's not always top of mind for me, and so I put a lot more do I say effort? Intention into this level of guidance, if that makes sense. I don't want to just slapdash this stuff around because it's really important, right? I don't want to cheat you out of the wisdom that's here just by trying to put a band-aid over what I think might be there. So again, for those who are new, or maybe this is your first of the 3 series that you're watching, just because this is your jam, my name is Hayley Weezy. I'm a 1-3 sacral generator. This is what lights me up. This is what sets my little sacral on fire. I have the Sun Gate of Growth, and this is really important again in business. Your Sun Gate is your top left gate up here. In your gene keys, it's called your life's work. This is about 70% of the energy in your chart. This is what's going to shine the brightest. It's going to be like the footpath that you're walking on, right, in your life. It's going to dictate the direction and the gifts that you have here to give. It's going to layer all of these different elements. And mine is the gate of growth, which means basically if like I help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Like, what are the next 3 steps? What do you actually need to accomplish at this foundational level to get to the next step? Because if you jump ahead too much, which is a big Manny-Gen thing sometimes too, we can create really unstable foundations in our business. Okay, and so that can help us get somewhere really quickly, but then we kind of plateau, which is also another generator thing. It can also cause instability and uncertainty for like projectors and manifestors. It can cause frustration for manifestors and anger because it slows you down if you haven't got those foundational skills right either, right? And so sometimes it's really good just to have someone with eyes on like what it is that you're creating, so that you know that that next step is going to be really stable for you, and that you can have a business that is not only aligned for you and fills your cup, but it's sustainable as well, which is important, particularly for the non-sacral types, as in projectors and manifestors and reflectors. But I think everyone, I mean, generators burn out when they do things that they don't love, and they say yes to all the things because they can, and doesn't mean they should. And we've talked about that before on some of the other calls. So it's really important to dive into some of these expressions in the gates, and we'll talk a little bit more about that why in a minute, but that's just a little bit about me. So this is the 3-part series for those who are new. When you get the replay of this, there'll be links to all of the replays of the other calls as well. So like, why fit in when you were born to stand out? I don't even know who that quote is. It's just the one that dropped in for me this morning. Like, we are literally born so unique. Like, even twins, when I look at their human design chart, their charts are exactly the same, but they look different, they act different. Why is that? It's because even when you have the exact same human design as someone else, you were still born to stand out. Okay, you were still born to be you. And I think that's really, really important. And sometimes we can lose that in the sea of comparison, and that is just what the thief I need to spearmint. The thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. And how often, how many hours or days or weeks or months of our life or years of our life have we lost because we have not had the courage to stand up or speak out or share our opinion or try something or, like, do something differently? Too many, way too many. And so last week I talked about, I kind of called in an intention, like what do they need to know today? And I wasn't on the beach this morning, but I'm not going to put a photo of me in bed. It's not as pretty. But there was 4 words that dropped in, and it was weird. It was like, really? The 4 words that came in for me this morning for you today are let them eat cake. I don't know why that dropped in. I do know why that dropped in now, but it's like, let them eat cake. It's like, you deserve to have the cake and eat it too. You deserve the joy, all the joy in life. All right. You deserve to eat the cake. So we're going to let you eat eat the cake, eat as much as, everything in moderation, of course. But I think sometimes, particularly because I work a lot with mothers, we can often give the cake to everyone else and we'll take the crumbs, right? Sometimes we will always prioritize other people and we won't prioritize ourselves. Or we will deny the cake altogether because we think by eating it, we're going to put ourselves into a situation, even though we're going to enjoy it, that it's not going to be good for us. And I think in some instances we have to have discernment around healthy choices, both in, You know, the hours we work, how we show up, what we say yes to, the clients we work with. But also we can do things just because it fucking lights us up, right? We can do things just because we want to as well. And we don't have to think so much about it. You know, I think that's probably the idea. So today I'm going to have some updates around the course, because remember, my IM course is really the foundations for business at the moment. It's going to give you a really beautiful insight. I have a never been taught masterclass as part of my IM course, which is all around business and abundance by design. And it's really going to dive into the nuances that people need to go explore when it comes to business. And then I'll just touch a little bit on my academy, because I've already had a few of you reach out about that, just for those who are wanting to become certified as a human design reader or utilize it in a professional setting and become like what I call like a human design specialist. Sometimes it just really helps people to have that foundation for them when they're wanting to bring human design out from a professional perspective or charge for readings and things like that. And then we'll do some more live mini calls. Okay, so with hopefully I move for the replay. Hopefully these words aren't covered up by the videos. But human design is not a crystal ball. I think so many times clients have come to me, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Tell me my purpose. It's like, that's not the idea here. What this is an expression of your purpose. It's an expression of who you are. It might be an area or a zone or an area of interest. But like I said, at the end of the day, if we have twins and they've got the exact same human design chart, one could be a plumber and one could be an architect, and they're still both living their design. Human design isn't necessarily going to tell you about your vocation or your profession, but it's going to show you why you want to do that, how you want to show up. And so it is like a superpower when you understand those elements, but when you trust the things as well. So type, strategy, authority is really, really important. So I want you to just imagine right now in this moment, because so many of you are coming on here with people that you want to help, okay, through this modality. Imagine being able to look at someone's human design chart and truly tap into how that client or that customer or that colleague or that student, right, might be experiencing life. And it's probably going to be different to you. And you're like, okay. You know, all of a sudden you might actually start to have some more understanding around their fears or their worries or their doubts or their strengths and their hopes and their desires. And you can really see those. And the best thing about seeing those in someone's chart is you can pull them out. You can ask slightly different questions. You can breathe belief into them in a slightly different way. And I'm not going to say that I know there's people out there who are amazing at this without this little piece of, without this, you know, there are people who just get this. They just have this natural gift. But like for me, I didn't. Like I was very good at supporting people and helping people, but how I can actually fine tune that with this wisdom is next level. And also the fact of like, of course, this isn't working for you. This is why, you know, or like, have you ever tried it this way? It's like, yeah, I just thought that was wrong. Or a coach told me I shouldn't do it that way. It's like, there's so much healing to be done. There's so much healing to be done in this space. So you can also think how this can improve your marketing, your messaging, your client relationships, your coaching skills, your results, right? When all of the, like, of course, your clients are going to get better results. That's going to relate to your income and also your impact. And so I think that just having this ability to see the world through the eyes of someone else and through the body and the expression and the feelings of someone else is really what the superpower here that we have available to us. So here's the code again. The early bird has ended for the IM course, but for those who are joining me live in the chat, actually, let me just, in the chat, I'm going to put in another coupon. People who don't join me live don't get it. This will save you another little bonus. I know it's not the full 77, but it's close. So if you were still dragging your feet and you want to come do the IM course, take that as my little gift. And thank you for being here. Like I said, we've got a full masterclass purely dedicated to business, like identifying your aligned marketing messaging skills, understanding your unique communication style, what your ideal clients are seeking from you, okay? How you support your clients at a deeper level, how to uncover the blocks when it comes to magnetism, particularly for yourself, or if you're trying to help someone else through that as well. Discovering where your greatest opportunities and abundance lies, and decoding your life's purpose can also be in there too. So that save 77 isn't valid anymore. But yeah, like I said, if you were on the live call, you've got another one in the chat. And also, if you do choose to come on into my certification course, which is the IM Academy, anything you spend in the IM course is taken off of this price. So basically, if you do the academy, the IM course is for free. Why I do that is because having that foundation of my IM course means that you can embody this wisdom so much deeper. It means that you've already started to integrate the human design on your own personal level, and then you can take it so much deeper when you come into the academy. And I don't just teach people, there's no point learning human design if you don't know what to do with it. Right. And also there's no point spending quite a decent investment, right, to come and be certified in human design. I'm not going to lie. Right. And then not do anything with it. And so what I ensured was I created basically a course that I would want, because I would need execution built into this, because otherwise I would just love to learn and there would be no execution at the other end. So from the very beginning of my academy, we're doing case studies, right? We're implementing what you're learning. You're getting testimonials from the clients that you're already working with. So by the end of the course, you've got proof that you've actually gotten results for people. And this is within 2 months. This is within an 8-week course. So I'm going to teach you how to become a human design reader, but then I'm also going to show you how to brand yourself with not only human design, but any other nuances and passions and skill sets that you have to create your unique personal brand. And then also how to launch something utilizing your human design, congruent pricing, structure, timing, all that kind of stuff, messaging, marketing as well. So this is not just a human design course. It's basically a branding course and a business course all in one. So yeah, if you would love to learn more about this, the doors are actually open for this now. It doesn't start until October and November. So you've got a little bit of time, but you'll get access to all the content straight away as well, so you can start working through it. So again, for those who maybe haven't joined my previous calls, just drop in the comments where your knowledge is at between 1 and 10 when it comes to human design and personal development. Like, it's all well and good to go, oh, like, I know I have this, or I know I have that, but how do I actually use it in business? How do I actually use it to grow, you know, or to embody who I truly am? Connie's a 6. Awesome. Auntie's 3. Only what you shared. Melinda's a 4. Beth is a 3-4. Lottie's a 4. Perfect. Awesome. Oh no, Deborah's saying, I so wish I knew about you back in April. I dropped 550 Canadian dollars and it was virtually useless. Oh, honey. And honestly, in all honesty, this is why I created the IM course at the price I did, because the one thing that stopped me from learning it earlier was the price of all the things out there. And $550 Canadian is a cheap course in human design. Most were $1,000 plus. And so I wanted to make something that was highly accessible for people and very, very practical. And so, yeah, like if you have done it, and I'm coming back to Australia soon. Oh, yay, welcome. Well, Deborah, look, if you know anyone else who wants to use human design, you can also give them that coupon that I gave them above. That you can give that to them if you want to share that this exists in your world in Canada. This is an international course. I have people from all over the world join. All right, so this is where we're going to be diving in today. So I'm going to take you through 2 levels of what I look for when I am coaching someone or myself, you know, or maybe I'm diving deeper into my own design to look for the gold, right? To look for the diamonds, to look for the gems. And so there's a level 1 and there's a level 2. And there's so many shifts that can happen just at level 1. And this is a very, very basic foundational wisdom that you just need to learn how to embody within human design to be able to utilize it at this level. So we're looking at like type, strategy, and authority. I call these the big 3. Okay. So you're all 2, 3, 4, 5s. Like, you should know what your type, strategy, and authority is. Okay. I'm not talking to an absolute green greenie here, like you're not a super uber duper beginner. But the thing that I find gets people most stuck, even if they think that they know human design a lot more than they do, is they don't actually know how the strategy shows up in their life, or why their strategy is their strategy. You know, so for a manifestor, for instance, like, but who do I inform and how and why? It's like, oh, I do it sometimes and not others. Like, they don't actually understand the implication of not informing and why it's so important. And so they're not utilizing it in their business, even though they know that they have it. They know what it is, but they're not utilizing it. Okay. And then their authority isn't kicking in. Okay. And so it's not just about knowing this, it's about embodying this. And if we don't embody these elements, we're kind of missing the point. And so is there part of your type, strategy, and authority that you can drop into the comments that you don't understand? Maybe this is the way that we're kind of going to do coaching today, rather than looking at people's charts. Oh, Deborah wants to have me to have a look at a chart. That's okay, darling. So if we have time for that at the end, I'll get you to pull it up. But does anyone have, like, is anyone like, I'm a projector and I don't know how to wait? Like, what does it actually truly mean to wait? Or like, what does it feel like to respond in my body as a generator? All of that kind of stuff. Let me know. Profile is also really important because this is how we're here to show up. So profile comes in from the top areas up here. So this person is a 3-5. It always goes the black side first, which is conscious, and then the unconscious, the design side, is the 5. And so I'm a 1-3. So mine is a 1 on this side, a .1, and then a .3 on this side. And that's where the profile comes from. Okay. Now, why is this so significant? Well, one, it's part of our incarnation cross. It's the expression of our chart within our incarnation cross. It's also the expression of our gene keys activation sequence, which is our life purpose, our evolution, our breakthrough pathway, our challenge pathway, our core stability, our radiance, and our purpose in life as well. And all of these are filtered through these profile expressions. So understanding there's 6 of them. You only have to remember 6. This is the beautiful thing. There's not that much stuff to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As long as you have a good understanding of each of those numbers and different ways that they show up for people, you can actually really start to honor how it is that people show up. And that's why whenever I meet someone who's also a 1-3 profile, or maybe they've got a 1 in their profile or a 3 in their profile, so there's some commonality there, we just see the world the same way. We just get along. Doesn't matter what type they are. Doesn't matter if they're an emotional manifestor or if they're a reflector. If they're a 1-3 profile, you get along. It's almost like showing up to a party and you're wearing the same top. Okay, you're a different person underneath the clothes, but you're like, oh my God, I've got the exact same top. Like minds think alike. That's what the profile energy is. And that's why it's really, really important. So when you know someone's profile, you know that maybe that's why they're so social, right? Or that's why maybe some people really like rub them up the wrong way. Or maybe that's why they want to always like ask more questions, learn more things. Maybe that's why I actually have to push them a little more, because they're going to have to fail and learn the hard way sometimes. Or maybe I just need to give them the microphone and just ask them to really speak about something that they're passionate about. You can figure all of that out through the profile. Okay. Now, the digestion, environment, and definition. This is how you're designed to work. What this is these are these little variables up here. And I cover these again, just even my standard basic IM course. All of this gets covered in my $299 basic course, guys. Like, there's so much wisdom in there. It's insane. At least at enough for you to like start chewing on it and digesting it and utilizing it. Digestion is really important. This is this top arrow, and it's either going to be pointing left or right for you. And this is going to tell you if you need more structure in your day or if you need more flow in your day. So tell me the top right arrow in the comments, are you pointing left or are you pointing right? What else do we have in here? I do understand being a projector and waiting, but it's difficult to apply it to reality. Yeah, I would love to learn more about my chart if I am chosen for the hot seat. Manage and to respond. Responding feels restrictive. Can you please explain this further? Yes, I will actually, Anthea. So responding, so generators and manifesting generators are 70% of the population. Are you an emotional authority? Anthea, or are you, Sacral?
Sacral, yeah.
Yeah. So responding is always, this is something that people don't quite understand. It's responding to something outside of you. It's not responding to your ideas or your thoughts or anything inside of you. So yeah, it's just, honestly, it can be that nuance. It's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what am I responding to? It's like, well, you asked for a sign. The beautiful thing about being a generator or a manifesting generator is that the universe is designed to bring you things. And then you get to choose if that's what you want to do or not. And that's when you listen to your sacral response, as in your authority, yes or no. Okay. But you can ask for a sign on what to do next. You can go, okay, well, bring me the people I'm here to help. Or I really have this idea that I kind of want to do this. If you think like, is this true? Like, if so, show me. Maybe you're asking for a blue feather, or, you know, I feel even sometimes goosebumps are external to us. I feel like that's tapping into energy that's outside of us. Sometimes you might see 111 on the clock. You know, all of these things are responses outside of us.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Splenic projector 2-5 profile, waiting for the invitation. I need to learn, lean in and listen and feel into my inner guidance rather than my head. Yes. And so Jess and Lottie, this will be the same for you. Again, I mean, you're a splenic projector. I don't know, Lottie, what your authority is as a projector. They're probably the most nuanced when it comes to authorities, but your strategy is the same. As in, you guys, I describe you projectors as lighthouses, and that you're designed to be seen. Okay, but you're not designed to run out into the water, jump into the boat and steer the boat away from the rocks. You're designed there to like shine your light. And then if people want your guidance, want your advice, they're going to see you, they're going to witness you, they're going to respond to you, they're going to invite you in, right? We need to respond to you. So if you're not shining your shining light, if you're not showing up, but you're like, well, how do I do that without being invited? You only need to be invited into things where it relates to other people. This is the thing. This is big with manifestors too. You only need to inform people that is actually going to be impacted by the work that you're doing. Does that make sense for people when it comes to strategy? Strategy only impacts truly when what you're creating and doing is going to impact other people. Do you need to use your strategy to decide what you're going to eat today? No, it doesn't impact anyone else other than yourself. Unless you're choosing to like leave the house and maybe like go to a cafe, and that's going to impact your partner, or, you know, see what I mean? But like, do I want toast or Weet-Bix? You don't really need your strategy for that. But like as a projector, if your strategy is to wait for recognition, right? Or wait for an invitation, you need to be seen doing something that people want to recognize or invite you in to learn more from you. And so that means, what is it that you just love to do? And then turn your phone on, put it on like time lapse, and freaking record yourself doing it. That's it. That's all you have to do. You just have to be seen doing something that you love. In business, as a projector, there is so much that you can create and do before anyone is involved. You can create foundations, you can create structures, you can create courses, you can create systems. I mean, this is a really big projector thing. Like, what is the field you're going into? What's broken about it? How can you make it easier? Start talking about that, and then people are going to ask you to help them. That's how you be a projector. All right. Does that help? We've got left. So people so now we're back down into digestion. So that's with these arrows. So if you're left, that means you need structure in your day. And this is only accurate. You must need your exact time of birth for this, by the way, because it changes about every 8 to 9 minutes. So if it's left, you need structure. And that doesn't mean just structure like when you wake up, like, you know, the whole consistency thing is probably actually quite important for us to be consistent. Even if it's inconsistently consistent, you still need to have some kind of strategy around how you want to structure your day, because you will feel so much calmer when you are. And you'll know that already. Like when if you go to bed with a plan for your day tomorrow, you will instantly feel calm. Like, oh, where if it's facing right, if you go to bed with a plan the next day, you'll be like, but what if something else happens? And what if I don't, like, what if because you want to have that flow, you want to be able to change your mind, you want to be able to pivot, you want to be able to sleep in, you want to be able to have choice. And so this is why it's really important in business that if you understand what that top left arrow is doing, left or right, you're going to know how you're going to show up. Okay. Andrea's a quad right. So that's even like, you could Google literally Andrea quad right human design. There would be blogs and support pages for you. Highly, highly creative. Where right arrows are very more creative, more yin energy, more flow energy. Left arrows are more strategic, more left brain, more focus, more pattern, more masculine energy, more yang energy, okay, more structure. And so even if you just know that, it's a really beautiful way to understand. Because right arrows may have been told, like, do this, do that, and it's just like, it doesn't work for you. And especially then if you layer that with being a emotional authority, right? Where are you up and down? Where you layer that with being a manifester. I've got energy, I don't have energy. You know, there's so many other things that can exacerbate this awareness that when you bring all these puzzle pieces together, you can understand why it doesn't feel right for you. Okay. And this is why I'm very, very mindful of saying to someone, do it this way or do it that way. I'm just here to guide you that there's other ways to do things. Deborah's an emotional generator 4/6 profile with a 59/6 channel and 8 of the 9 sacral gates to find. Whoa, Deborah, that's a lot of sacral energy right there. There's a story there for you to explore 100%. You love that analogy. Awesome. Deb has to go. That's okay, darling. Yeah, watch the replay. Beautiful. Which arrow is for digestion? The top left arrow. Top left. Okay, so environment can be also really important. Now, you may be a cave, you may be a market, you could be a shore, you could be a kitchen, like all of these things. I'm like, a kitchen? How, like, what does this even mean? Like, how does this even show up? You're a cave. Caves are so easy to explain. It's like, because it's such a cave thing. You need a little nook. You need a little nook to work in. You might even want to work in like a chair curled up with a laptop with a rug on. You know, you want to create these little cozy environments. You probably want to be in a corner. You probably hate open plan workspaces, right? And so that can be just such a nice thing to know where you are here to show up. Now, you've got, so environment is actually connected into this bottom arrow. And again, you'll feel either calmer in your environment or energized in your environment, depending on which way your arrow points. And so, yeah, if you're pointing left, you're going to feel more energized in that environment, more seen, more visual in that environment. When you're pointing right in this bottom left arrow, you're going to feel more calmer and more relaxed, and you're probably going to be more observing in this environment. And so there's lots of layers here, but again, I really love understanding at least the foundations around those 6 key environments. So there's 6 profiles, right? There's 6 environments. And so we don't have to learn all of these different things, but we can learn some basics. So Lottie, I love that you're a market. I'm a market too. And this was really a beautiful thing for me when I was creating resources for my community, and why I love to do what I do, because basically what I do when I create courses is I utilize my defined ajna and my love of learning through my line 1, and I go out and I learn all these things like a market, right? You've got a full buffet of like all the food, all the fruit and vegetables that you could possibly, and I'm going to cherry pick exactly what I want. I'm going to put it in my basket. I'm going to make it into a beautiful dish, and I'm going to hand that to people. I'm going to fast track the whole experience. And that's what a market person loves to do. They love to create experiences, and they do that by sampling lots of other ways that it can be done, and then finding their own particular flavor of what they want to create with those ingredients. And that's a really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful market environment. Shores. So Connie, you may have really struggled in COVID with shores, because shores really love to move. They want to be able to, they don't want to feel boxed in. They want to be able to, like, moving locations, or like seeing, like, I don't know if you're natural or artificial, but seeing different environments. So standing on the beach on land and looking at the ocean, or standing on the side of a river and looking at the water, or even just sitting on a patio, like, and kind of being indoors, but looking outdoors, this is all that sure environment. Or even just being able to get on a plane and fly to a different town is such a sure thing, because you want to be able to see the perspective from two different sides of the world. And so being restricted is really, really hard for you. That is great. Makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Kitchen. So kitchens, you think about what happens. Kitchen is the heart of the home. Kitchen is like things that you love. You love to bring people together. You're a very social person. You may or may not be the hostess with the mostest. You may literally just want to bring people into the kitchen and then observe everyone else getting along, or you may be the center of attention, depending on which way your arrow is facing in that kitchen. But at the end of the day, you're really here to create like situations for people to connect. And you probably also love to work in busy environments as well, because you get to tap into other people's energy. So you can see how there's lots of wisdom here in these areas. And I do break all of this down in the I Am course, just the foundational basics course. You do get a lot of this too. Definition is also something I really, really talk about and in the basic I Am course, because I think it's really important when it comes to how we are designed to connect with one another. So this person is a very, very big split definition. And so this means that they're going to show up very, very differently in a team dynamic than, say, someone who's single definition or triple split or quad split or a small split or a large split. Like, it's all different. The more splits you have, the different voices you have in your head. So let me know if you're a single definition. Are you a single definition, split, triple split, quad split? Whoa, Lottie, you're a quad. That's Lottie. That is like 0.6% of the population. That's like the rarest thing outside of like being a reflector. Even there's more reflectors in the world than quad splits. That's insane. We have to talk. Triple split, single split. Okay, so single definition. So Connie's single definition, Deborah's single definition, Belinda, you're independent. As soon as I see a single definition, which means all of their centers are connected to one another. I'll show you a picture of what that means in a second. It means that basically you can put your finger on your chart and then draw a line through channel. See this one? All the way through and connect all of the centers together. That's what a single definition means. It's connected all the way through with different channels. There's no gaps. That's just a very independent person. And that's a really good thing for someone to know. It means you don't always need input from other people to have all of your centers talk to one another. It means you can make decisions a lot faster than other people. And so that's a really good thing to know. Now, as soon as you get a split in there, it means that this group of centers doesn't necessarily effectively talk to this group of centers, right? Because there might be a little gap. And when there's that gap, it's like you need to be around someone who fills that gap in, and then all of a sudden things just work so much easier. It also means when you're working by yourself as a split definition, is that this center has a voice in your head and this center has a voice in your head. Okay. And so sometimes we can like almost have a split personality, because depending on which group we're listening to. Amplify that into triple split, you now have 3 voices in your head. And so a lot of the time I speak to someone who's a triple split and they're highly social. They need lots of people in their head, in their life, because they've got to fill a number of different gaps. And they may feel a little bit like they're going crazy just because but they don't. They just have these different, when they're not around people, they get too much into their head because their body isn't communicating in a way that it's really effectively designed to do so. And then quad split, again, it's just amplified even more so. And so when I go, the difference between, say, like the I Am course and what I talk about when I go into the academy is that, like, what do we actually do about it? Like, where are the actual areas in those splits that we look for when we're coaching someone? Because right in those spaces is huge growth or potentially huge conditioning. And so that's a really big area that's obviously more advanced, and I'll go through that in level 2, but that's more what I cover in the academy. And then finally, centers. Now, centers, I love the centers. This is really what the whole I Am course is built around. But even just for you to understand the 9 centers and their natural expressions, and we've talked about that so much over these past three series. If you just understand what it means to have that center defined and what it means to have that center undefined, you can really start to see how someone may feel differently to you when they're opposite. So for instance, this person has a defined head in Ajna, and I have an undefined head, right? But they also have an undefined throat. I have a defined throat. You know, they have an undefined G center. I have a defined G center. They have an undefined sacral. I have a defined, like this person is a very different expression of life, you know, to me. And so for me to understand that, I need to actually shush so that they can speak. I need to allow them to guide others, encourage them to guide others, because that's what they're here to do. I'm here to encourage this person with this chart, that they are here to create things differently to other people, and maybe not to think about it, and maybe actually they need to go to a co-working space so that they can actually fill in some of these gaps, and they can actually realize this wisdom, right? And they can connect it to this energy down here, which is around motivation and intuition and their emotional intelligence. So they need to be probably either have a coaching system set up, like maybe have a coach or a mentor, or just be in a situation where they can work around other people so they can really make the most of this energy down there. So does that kind of give you a good understanding of like how you can explore this, even just with the foundational knowledge of human design in business? I'm looking at my body graph, and even though it says I am single definition, my centers are definitely not all connected. Root to sacral to solar, G, nothing from my G to the throat, hanging gate. I'd have to look at that, Deborah. Maybe we can do that. Yeah, if it says single definition, but I don't know, yeah, you should definitely be all connected if it says that. So level 2 is a little bit different. Can show you. Okay, let's just do that now before we move on. Let's just share your screen, just so this is just a good coaching moment. Deborah, where are you, darling? Oh, Jen. Okay, Jen, what has it said? Your split definition. I can see that. Oh, no. 1. You're muted, darling. I can't hear you. Single definition. Yeah, this is single definition.
Yeah. So this is my children's dad. So he's got single definition.
Yes. So what was the question?
You were saying that they all join up.
Yeah. Yeah. So see how these two are connected, and then these are up here. So they're all connected. But I think Deborah said that hers was saying that it was single definition, and she said that it wasn't. So I just wanted to have a look at Deborah's to see if there was something there. Hang on. Deborah, see if you can share your screen, darling.
I'm trying to find my chart. I'm not the most techie person. I'll be blatantly honest about that. I'm just trying to see if I can find it in my files, and then is that how I do that? Then you might be able to see it.
Yeah. So are you on a computer or a phone?
Oh, my laptop.
Okay. So when you have to turn your camera on, and then when you have it on your screen, you can share your screen, and then we can see what you're looking at.
Okay, give me a moment. Fair warning to you all. I've been renovating my bathroom, so I'm definitely in the unglamour mode.
Oh, it's totally fine. Totally fine.
Okay, just give me a moment here. I'll see
Yeah,
if I can find
perfect. I'm just going to answer some questions before we move on.
Sure.
Is it just the defined centers that need connection to determine definition? Can you unmute, darling, and just put a few more words to that? Where are you?
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
Yeah, I was just listening to everyone, and I'm a single definition as well.
Yep.
And I noticed the same thing. So I'm open in my head and undefined in my ajna, but then all of my defined centers are connected, but
Yes.
none of my undefined centers are.
Yes.
But maybe that's where people are getting confused. It's not all of the centers in your chart. It's only the defined centers that need to be connected. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about channels, and this is something I guess I've kind of skipped over, because the basics of understanding with human design is a channel gets created, definition gets created, like centers turn on, right? When one gate connects to the other gate, and that creates electricity from one center to another. And then as soon as you have one gate connecting to another gate, those two switch on. If that gate wasn't there, right, that center wouldn't turn on, and that center would be wide as well with a gate hanging out of it, unless there was another gate somewhere else connecting to another center, and then that would cause it to turn on. So I basically look at them all like electricity cords. They can be hanging around, but it's not until you actually plug them into the socket that the light will turn on. So they have to connect. So thank you for Melinda for just reiterating that. So you only have 2 centers defined and 1 channel that connects the 2. Yeah. So so that means you have 2 defined centers and 7 white centers. Yeah, which is quite an open. But the funny thing is, you could be, sometimes generators are like that. I put a chart up the other day of Marianne Williamson. She has 2 defined centers, her sacral and her root center. And so she's a generator. Supposedly these people with all of this energy, right? All this bravado, yet highly, highly sensitive and highly, highly open. And so the thing that I like to talk about when it comes to human design and business is speaking to the highest expression of someone's chart. And when I talk about personal development, our areas for natural growth, and this is what I'm really going to cover in that masterclass as part of the Human Design IM course, is understanding the gifts that we have within our openness. We're not just the definition. Okay, so you're definitely single definition. So you can see here the root through 38 all the way to 28 is connected, and then 50 through to 27, and then 59 through to 6, and then also up 29 through to 46. So that means all of these colored centers are all connected through a channel, a grouping of circuitry, a grouping of channels. So you're definitely single definition. Deb.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Your background's stunning. I don't know what you're worried about. I love the lighting, the plant in the background. It's beautiful. So where did you get confused? What were you thinking wasn't causing the single definition?
Because all the centers weren't connected. Like I was looking for channels to connect everything. So
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing that. And it's been a very interesting last week or so with 59 and 6 and 46 and 29, those gates being activated. And I'm sort of moving between human design and getting into that, and then also getting into the practical applications of finishing. I've never renovated a bathroom before in my life, or tiled or grouted or done any of this stuff. And there's times where I just think I just want to go and have a beer. So
yeah, but you're a generator, and so you're an emotional generator. You're here to do things that light you up, and that may mean different things at different times. But I love the fact that you're using creation in different ways, and sometimes that creativity will come out through renovating, and sometimes it will come out through course creation or something else that you're doing as well. So yeah, it's all there. It's all there for you. I mean, the biggest thing that you have here is a fully open will center and a fully open ajna. It's very different to, say, your throat and your head, which have certain gates activated in them. And just like self-worth. I mean, that was I have a fully open will center as well. And I just say, you're worthy simply because you exist. There's so much of our life we spend, well, when I do this, then I will feel that. Or if I get that, then I will feel that. And we get there and we feel amazing for about 3 seconds. And then we're like, oh, now what? Right? It doesn't quite fill the hole. It doesn't quite fill the bucket. It's almost like we're trying to fill a bucket of water into a bucket that's got holes in the bottom. It's not designed to hold the water. Right? It's designed to just be a vessel to experience life and self-worth. It's not there to hold it at any particular time. You're just here to show up and be the best version of yourself. And there's so much wisdom and guidance available to you in that openness. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time.
Well, in my gene keys, the 4629,
yes,
that 46 gate comes from purpose all the way up to pearl.
Yeah,
it's a column right through. And what it's been like trying to get back to Australia over the last couple of years. So, and I'm headed back for Perth, and that's had its own challenges. So I've had to constantly dig deep and just keep,
Mm,
exhausting myself so that I can, get up the next day and, go for it. And
mm,
I'm in my 60s, and I've often wondered, like people have described me as being like the ever ready, battery bunny. And I thought, not really sure. I like, hopping around all the time, but it's just that analogy of just
Yeah.
go, 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 go. And I literally just stumbled across human design the end of March, I think it was, this year.
mm,
And when I listened to the description of what it was to be a generator, I was just literally walking around my kitchen, tears rolling down my face, like big tears. And it was like finding my holy grail.
mm.
It was really lovely. So, and then finding you I don't even know how I found you. I mean, who knows how these things happen? You just pop up, thank
Yeah.
God for logarithms. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And it's just been like one thing after another. And my Saturn and Pluto lining up on my ascendant on January 12th, 2020. And it's just been one thing after another. And my dog is already over in Australia. So that like
Oh my
there's no going back on this
Yeah.
one. I mean, I've wanted to go back to Australia since I left 40 years ago, or
Yeah.
maybe it was, I don't know if it was that long ago, but anyhow. And yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. So I just encourage anybody that feels any affinity to this at all to just fall into it, just literally fall into it, because that's how I feel my life is going right now. So, and thank you for the coupon today, because I've been, juggling a lot of things and, financial. So yes,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a gift. Thank you very much.
You're very
And
welcome.
thanks for indulging me. And I'm so glad that this is the live, because I totally stuffed up the time zones and I thought, oh, I missed everything.
Well, I'm
So,
glad you're here, Deborah, and I'm really glad because I really love, I don't know who else is here on this call with a gate 28 defined, which is down here. Gate, and this is your unconscious sun, and which is obviously the radiance. And I don't know if you're part of the contemplation journey, or you sound like you've already done a lot of work with Gene Keys, but this is your radiance as well. And so, understanding that this is what makes you truly magnetic. And it's that knowing that you're here for a greater purpose, that you're not going to finish your life without leaving a legacy. And, gate 28 is I've got the full gate of, how awful is that channel? The channel of struggle. It's just like the worst name ever. But basically, we are designed to thrive through struggle. Okay. That is what we always get the win after the striving from something. It's normally something that we're highly passionate about, but we also have to be mindful not to make it harder than we think it needs to be. We can overemphasize am I struggling more than I need to be struggling right now? Sometimes we can be a bit of a glutton for punishment. But yeah, that gate 28 for anyone, if I see anyone that I'm coaching with that gate 28 activated, I'm like, okay, there's something itching under their skin, that they are here for a purpose, that there's something that it's called the fear of dying. That's the fear in this splenic gate, but it's not the fear of dying. It's the fear of dying before having left your legacy, before having created something that's going to live beyond you. And that's such a powerful energy to work with. So I'm glad you're here, Deborah.
thank you. And
All right.
and having all of those sacral gates defined, it took me a long time to try to come to terms and understand, with all of that there, how can my solar plexus be in so much, why is it the emotional energy? And then I started educating myself on the types of circuitries, and definitely that
Tribal?
channel, I'm totally comfortable, because I'm not like one of these wave people, yes, I've got my moments, who doesn't? But when I started to understand about what 59.6 was all about, totally cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so
Not that I
much
can
compassion and understanding for self that you can just release things in this journey. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, next. Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
So, honey, I think you need to stop sharing your screen now, so then I can go back to just the last couple of slides that I want to share. Thank you. Awesome. Was that helpful for everyone else? Sometimes it's really nice to see at someone else's chart.
And
Andrea,
thank you.
you're welcome. Very So Andrea's got gate 28 is half black and half red. So that means it's going to show up on two sides of your chart. So then you look onto the outside elements and you're like, okay, where is it in the red side and where is it in the black side? It means it's both conscious and unconscious for you, which means it's just even more prevalent. One is half black and red too, Jess is saying. Yeah. And that's okay. So it's a hanging gate. That's fine. That's fine too. It doesn't really seem to matter too much if it's a full channel or not. All right. So this is a beautiful segue, because what Deborah was talking about so beautifully is some of the deeper layers when it comes to understanding human design, and also gene keys when it comes to personal development and business. So I am not going to come here and stand in front of you and tell you that I know every single gate inside and out, all their shadows, their gifts, their city, their different expressions. This is why it takes years for us to truly understand this experiment that is human design. So don't put yourself under pressure that you need to look at this and know everything about it. I think what I recommend is just start with yourself. And because I'm such a big learner by experience, the more charts you see, the more people you help, then you'll start to learn more about other things, and you'll just remember it. It's the same way I learned about essential oils. I started with like 10, and then I bought 5 more, and then I bought 2 more, and then I bought 10 more, and now I have 140, and I know what they all do. But it's not because I got them all at once, right? It's because I learned about them as I brought them into my collection. And the same thing will happen with the channels and the gates. The beautiful thing about understanding this is because this is where they sit. So this is all the gates and the channel, all the gates, and then we've got the gates on the other side. So this determines the color, if it's black or red. And then otherwise, yeah, if it's not on there, then it's not activated. Now, there are certain elements when we go, it's super advanced again into the astrology side. There's things like your Chiron, there's your midheaven, there's something else in there that looks like a sheath. I can't remember what it's called, but they are going to be elements also within your human design. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to show up as an activation on your chart, but they could still be really relevant. But the reason why I love the gates and the channels is because, like we just saw with Deborah, if there is a center that has a lot of activation, well, there's a lot of energy that wants to be expressed through that center. So if that person isn't utilizing that, Deborah also had the gate of power, gate 34. If she's not utilizing that, and so even if whenever you see this gate 34, this gate is called the gate of power. This has to generate sacral energy or amplify sacral energy if you're a projector or a manifestor or a reflector, to not only gate 10, not only gate 57, but also gate 20. So this one gate has the ability to be connected to and create 3 channels, which is why it's called the gate of power, right? And so there's always a lot of energy that wants to flow, particularly through gate 34. Say that person was a manifesting generator and they just connected all the way up through to gate 20, right? Maybe that was a channel. And they were stuck in life and they were miserable and they weren't expressing themselves. Maybe there's conditioning around their throat that they were always shushed as a child, and all of these kind of things that we need to peel away so they can have their full expression. What I see a lot then from a health perspective is that person's going to have potentially thyroid issues or neck issues or voice issues, because there's all this energy that's trying to flush its way through to the throat to be expressed, and it's not being allowed to do so. Okay, so that's why it's such a beautiful thing to understand all these. That's why I had to include health, and that's why I had to include parenting, because there's so many stages of our life that are all interconnected when it comes to personal development, that we can't just look after our mind. We have to also look after our body. We have to also look after our emotions, and we have to look after our energy. And so we can see all of these elements within human design. And it's just ultimately about finding the things that you're fascinated by and following that. Just because I love these things and I love to talk about them doesn't mean you're going to, right? I'm just sharing what works for me, and I'm just sharing what I've seen other people have great success in. I can talk to you about a lady who did my I Am certification course, my academy, and she's like, Hayley, I know you love the centers, but I just can't shake the feeling that there's more to do with the gates. I need to dive into the gates. And then she shared with me her chart, and she's a quad split. Well, of course, that's going to make so much sense. She's got so much definition. She knows the energy in the gates. She's not sensing other people's energy. She's not here to experience other people's energy in the gates. But she is going to have a lot of conditioning and areas of opportunity between those gaps, in between all those quad splits. And of course, that's why she's drawn towards the gates, because that's where her energy is going to be expressed the most. So please, always, whenever you're learning human design or gene keys or like anything from anyone, anywhere, always take everything with a grain of salt and come back to what feels good for you. But these are just elements that I utilize and pull in and learn from to create a deeper picture of what someone might be going through. Actually, I'm wondering if I could pull up. I might do that for you guys. I'm going to show you some of the things, because this is really, really fascinating. I'm going to stop sharing this screen. I'm going to start sharing another screen. So this is genetic matrix, and this is something that, can everyone see that? If I'm looking sideways because I've got two screens. Okay, so this is who has access to this? Some people will, some people won't. This, you can use some of this as a paid, as a free version. And then there's also a paid version. I think this is probably about $9 US a month for the full pro version. It is by far, I mean, I use it every day, multiple times a day. It's like the most useful subscription I'm on. Like, it's so insane, the amount of knowledge that is in this website that you can access for a couple of dollars a month. You can also buy like a 3-day pass. So if you just want to go in and just like for $6 or something, you can just pull up all of these charts. But what it does, and so like you can see here, these are just the charts I've physically pulled up, and they save them in there, right? So this is the basics chart that you get on the pro version. So you can see here, you can have cognition, market, you can have, I'll talk about rave psychology in a minute. That's actually on that work down the bottom. It says rave psychology. That's motivation, sense, view. So like that's another deeper layer I utilize. Particularly, we dive a lot into this when it comes to branding in the academy. This is really, really important. But what I wanted to show you here is well, actually, before we do that, for those who love gene keys, you can get a gene keys pull up of all your gene keys in this website too, so you don't have to go to different websites. If you do have this and you just want to look at one thing, go and have a look at how the shadow of your evolution shows up in your life. There will be a pattern there, just so you know. So fear of failure is a big one for me. And there's probably going to be a challenge there for you that will continue to show up in your life. So just FYI. There's an Astro here. So if I go to Astro Interactive. So this is where we can see some deeper layers of the human design chart and where it comes from. So this is what you see in the standard charts. And then from there, you can actually see the signs. So my sun sign is in Aries, right? But my North Node is in Gemini. My Mars is in Scorpio. My Chiron is in Taurus. My Pluto is in Scorpio. Okay, and then you can also see the houses that they're sitting in. Why that is important is because when you're looking at, again, from a branding perspective, mainly from a branding and messaging and marketing perspective, like it's really important to understand that even though I'm in gate 42, which someone else may have their sun gate in gate 42, it may not be in Aries, and it's probably not going to be in house 12. So that means that my sun sign is here to express itself through soul growth, right? Through hidden strengths, which is what? Hidden weaknesses. These are all that subconscious work, that metaphysical work that I truly love to dive into. Spiritual studies, okay? It's really, this is the energy that my sun gate is expressing through. And I love the fact that this is just interactive. So I can actually click on it and it will give me like a little description. So here, like, I'm assertive, fun-loving individual. I have strong need for independence and may tend to display self-concern assertively. Anyway, so it's a really fascinating thing that you can kind of dive into. I also love Mercury. So my Mercury is in Taurus in house 1. And so this is how we communicate. I love unconscious Mars So my unconscious Mars is in Scorpio. I'm a passionate warrior. It's in my gate 50. This is when it comes to gene keys, this is our vocation. I know I'm jumping around a lot here, but hopefully this just shows you how they're all interconnected. This is our vocation. So here, this is your unconscious Mars. And so this is a big one around job and profession. And so see, my line expression is philanthropy. And so what that means is that my vocation is always going to have an element of philanthropy. I want to earn a shit ton of money so I can give it away to people and really good causes, you know, and I want to help other people earn, like I want good people to earn good money so they can do good things with it. Right. And so I've always wanted to do that. And I have never always really had a vehicle to do so. One, until I found like doTERRA, which was a huge opportunity for me to be a part of a amazing, what do we call it? Like supply chain that does a lot of good for millions of people all over the world from a sustainability and sourcing perspective. But also the lives that I can change through that. Right. And now with human design, it's allowing me to do that as well. And so yeah, I think this is just such a beautiful way from a business perspective to look at some of these elements too, which I'll also be diving into deeper in the masterclass as part of the I Am. And of course, we dive into deeper again in the certification. But Anthea, my gate 34 connects to 20, 10, 44, 26 in red voice and throat struggles are my struggles. Yes. Gate, you got lots going on there, babe. You've got... Let's get it out. Let's get it out. As I always say to my kids, better out than in. It is better out than in. Now I've lost my son actually. Oh no, don't do that. My son hit his head yesterday. There we go. My son hit his head yesterday and he got the bump on the head. Or say my kids throw up and it's like, all right. We understand that throwing up is not pleasant, diarrhea is not pleasant, bumps on the head is not pleasant. I would much prefer our body to get that out of the body than for it to stay in the body. Like Melinda's a nurse, right? Like you would know, like we don't want that, like the whole reason our body expels it is for a reason. It's not supposed to come out and it needs to come out. The swelling needs to come out because if it's not coming out, it's going in, right? Like, so better out than in. If there's anything that you're getting stuck on, if it's starting to manifest physically for you, there's something you're holding in that needs to come out. All energy in the body wants to be expressed through the throat. Regardless of if you're defined throated or not, all energy in the body is going to find its way to the throat to be expressed. And so we have to get a really good connection with, you know, how we are designed to communicate. And that's going to be different for everyone as well. Not everyone's going to operate up here. Some people are going to operate down here, and that's going to fluctuate for people too. And that's important to understand for you in business, because this is how we manifest. This is how we communicate with our tribe, and this is how we change people's lives. So it's really, really powerful. All right. And just to finish up, I've found it again. So let's just go back into here. So you can see how there's lots of layers around astrology and gene keys, and that really just helps us to understand how things are actually going to get expressed, right? If you love astrology, you're going to instantly be like a duck to water in this space. I was very new. I mean, I knew that I was an Aries. That was about it. I didn't know about moon signs and rising signs. I didn't know about lots of other elements within the astrology field. One of my best friends is an astrologer, and so that's really handy for me now. But yeah, this was a really beautiful way for me to get a really solid foundation in understanding astrology too. Splits and hanging gates are really important. So this is what I'm looking at, a split. So here's a split. So see how these two are connected, and then there's a gap here. So gate 7 and gate 1, there's a gap. There's also a gap here at gate 36, and there's a gap here at gate 48. This person, if they want to go and find some areas for greatest opportunities for growth, I would be looking at either one of these 4 gates, gate 36, gate 1, gate 7, and gate 48. Potentially there could even be like conditioning in those centers, in those white gates. The reason I'm telling you this is because we have the whole chart, and this gets forgotten. We have the whole chart. It's not just where you're defined, it's where you're white as well. And so it just depends on how you interact with that energy that makes a difference. And this is where I see the biggest downfall in a lot of the way people teach human design is they just talk about the defined centers and the defined gates. And they don't realize that there is so much abundance to be had in the receiving of energy, the feeling of it, the amplification and understanding of it, right? And then the expression of that back to who actually needs to understand and learn about it. It's in your white areas that you're actually going to have the greatest areas for growth and abundance for your life and your business. The colored areas is what people are like, what you're sending out into the world. It's what people are picking up on. Really, really easy, in my opinion, to identify and put a finger on. The tricky part is where we grow, because that's where we get uncomfortable. And that's where your greatest gifts lie, your greatest lessons lie, and also maybe why I think people get the most breakthroughs when they actually get like mentoring or coaching, because normally they get attracted to, I feel like when the student is ready, the coach appears, and it may or may not be me. It's not what I'm talking about. It's about the fact that when you feel that connection and you're like, okay, yeah, I need to work with this person, and you don't know why, it's probably because they're mirroring parts of your chart and they can pull out the wisdom that you don't have access to. They can feel it and sense it and reflect it back to you. And then all of a sudden life makes sense again. And that's a really powerful gift that you can have as a coach or as a mentor for someone else, is you'll attract people who are quite often the opposite to you in certain areas. So that's how the split and the hanging gates work. So on your chart, actually, if I go back to, pretty sure it says in the genetic matrix website, actually, I'll put a link up for you to be able to access it. I actually have an affiliate link. I get a very, like, it doesn't change how much you pay. I get a very small amount back from that. But in the basic foundational chart, next to definition split, it'll actually give you the numbers of the gates that are the ones that are going to be most magnetic for you. They're your closest gates that are going to create definition in your chart. And so they're the ones that I would be going to for first, for sure. And then finally, rave psychology. So I touched on this very, very briefly when I showed you the genetic matrix website. There was things called motivation, sense, and view. And so these are things that are all to do with these variables. They're all up in these little colored numbers up in here. So like the green triangles and the yellow circles and the things that can all feel really, really confusing. This is just what it is. Like, that's just where it lives. And just so you know, you don't need to go diving into this right now. I just like people to understand why some things are like they are. Hang on, I'm just going to pop the genetic matrix link in for people if they want to check it out. So rave psychology is really, really powerful when it comes to seeing how we solve problems naturally for people. It's just second nature to us. It's like, yeah, but doesn't everyone do it that way? It's like, no. Seeing gifts in others and how we manifest in life. These three elements are normally things that even in the certification, I get people to check their bio, like in their Instagram profile, because a lot of the time you could write a beautiful bio of a description of like, this is what I believe. Like, I'm all for the, like, I help so-and-so do this for this. Like, I get that, but I feel like what's more powerful for people these days in your biography or your blurb about what you do in business is what you believe in, right? What you believe in. And I think that's going to draw a lot more people than what you just do. Yeah. So Deborah said here, yes, 64doors.com is phenomenal, is free for 2 months, and is also, so I thought it was free full stop. I only access 64 Doors completely free. I don't use that at all when it comes to, I don't have anything paid at all with 64 Doors. They've got really in-depth understanding of all the gates. It's really fascinating. Is there someone who is opposite to reflected completely filled in? Yes, there is. So I would say that that's more common than a reflector to be fully defined. I have seen a couple of those charts. I actually think, I don't know, I actually think it would be tough to be fully defined. I think, I don't know, I need to really, I haven't coached anyone who's fully defined, probably because they wouldn't need it. There's not really anywhere for someone else's energy to go in and work with them. But I would imagine having someone fully defined be mentored by a reflector. That would be fucking magic. That would be awesome. Deborah saying, thank you, Hayley. You have shared, revealed so much connection. Beautiful. I'm so glad you're getting a lot out of this. Okay, so this is the other thing why it's really important just to understand a little bit more of these deeper layers of human design when it comes to business and personal development. Both of these people are emotional manifesting generators, but they would have very different issues or problems or like just life in general. This person has a fully open head and ajna, like that could be a whole kettle of fish in itself for this person. Both of them are probably going to have like a lot of thoughts going on. Maybe this person's trouble sleeping. Maybe they overthink things, or yeah, they just get so congested mentally that they might get even headaches and stuff like that. This person will also be dealing with a lot more struggles around maybe self-worth, where this person probably with the defined will center is they just got it, right? This person, however, probably deals with more adrenal fatigue and more, they have to really, from a coaching perspective or from a business perspective, work around burnout, how to structure their day, even though they're a generator, manifesting generator, is what's their relationship to burnout? What are they saying yes to that they shouldn't be? Because they've got a defined will center. So that means when they say yes, it's literally fate worse than death by like going back on that. Because the defined will center, once they say yes to something, they're designed to finish it off, like the willpower to cross it over the line, like to cross all the T's, to dot all the I's, to finish it. And so if they're entering into things that are not aligned for them and they've got an undefined root center, they're going to burn out and they're going to be miserable. It's going to not be fun to be around. Deborah saying, in your course, do you cover the effects of transiting gates in the body graphs? I touch on transits very, very briefly, just to explain what it is and where it shows up and how to find it. Do I cover it in depth? It's a 4-week course with about 6 hours of content. No, but like, yeah, for the very basics class, I just cover just a little bit so people can understand. And if they want to, they can dive into it more. But I do cover the basics of transiting gates. At least the sun gate, sorry, not all of them, just the sun gate. What Deborah is talking about there is the weather. I call it the human design weather. And if you want to know about that, I can show you. Yeah, so does that make sense? So like, even though, their profile is different, so we can't just always go by someone's type and their strategy and their authority. These people are both emotional authorities. They're both emotional, they both have the same type, strategy, and authority. But that does not mean that they're here to show up in the same way. Okay, this person's a quad left, all 4 arrows pointing left. This person has significant 50% of those pointing right. That means they're going to show up in a very different way. We have a cave versus a shore, right? We have so many different things that are going to, help that person to just be slightly more empowered. But then we have similarities too. So, the channel, the 8-1 channel, the channel of inspiration. Inspiration. Yeah. So there you go. What would happen if you just allowed yourself the grace to receive all that you truly deserve, all that you truly desired and deserved? I think this comes back to that again, have your cake. Let them eat cake. What would happen if you just allowed yourself the grace to receive all that you truly desired? And I think the most prevalent word here is receive. I think receivership is one of the things that we're so conditioned to, even when they're receiving a compliment. Like, oh, I love your top. Oh, this little thing, right? Like, it's so easy for us to just reflect. And yet when it comes to business and personal development, we have to receive. Because it's through receiving that we can expand, that we can grow. I mean, you can look at metaphors 24/7 about this. A plant has to receive water to grow and sunlight to grow. If it doesn't, it dies. If you want a balloon to expand, you've got to put air into it. It has to be able to receive that oxygen or helium so it can expand. Nothing can get bigger in life without receiving. And if that means you have to start at the point of how can I receive more compliments in my life, it might start with giving more compliments and understand what it feels like to be on the receiving end of someone receiving my compliment, or on the receiving end of someone denying my compliment. And then you're like, oh, that hurts. I just wanted to say that I loved her shoes and she completely buffed me off. And I'm like, well, that doesn't feel very nice. And particularly if you're a projector, like, come on, like you need to be able to be recognized. You need to be invited. And if you're not receiving those in all areas of your life, receiving help, people, how many times as parents do we not receive help? Like how many times if someone's like, oh, do you need help picking that up or carrying that? No, I've got it. I'm going like, the universe just tried to give you something and you just went, nope, I don't want to receive that. Yeah, I want to receive in another area of my life. And so maybe we could just finish up and tie this 90 minutes so succinctly up with, where can you receive more? Regardless of your human design. Yes, you could look into the centers and your gates and all that kind of stuff, but just start with where are you denying receiving something in your life? And where do you really want to eat cake? Where do you want to receive that cake? Yeah. Haley, I know you talked about that. Thank you is the biggest gift of recognition and connection. Thank you. That was fantastic. You're so very welcome. So that was a little bit different. Obviously, we didn't go into all the like mini readings and stuff, but I think that worked really well with the content and just being able to talk through what it means. And this is the other beautiful gift. It's like, whoever thought that, like, I never saw anyone group coaching human design. It always had to be a one-on-one reading. And I just feel like that's not always going to be the best way for people to teach. For some people, it will be. And we work that out in the certification. Like, what's the best way for you to actually show up and teach human design? It may be one-on-one. It may be mentoring. It may be integrated with other different modalities. But whatever it is, it'll feel good. And that's a really good indication that you're on the right track. All right, well, I'd love your feedback. I'd love if you want to share this and tag me, or if you want to share your journey and your biggest outtakes from today, I'd love that too. Actually, I should take a photo of you all your beautiful faces. Smile. Thank you so much for those who have stuck with me for all three series, for all three calls. It's been a big couple of weeks. I hope you've really loved learning more about yourself and your human design. I hope it's opened up some of the different areas that is possible here within further exploration, further contemplation, further study, and just experimenting with it. But the more charts you see, not just your chart, but your family's chart, your kids' chart, like life starts to make a little bit more sense. And even though nothing is ever set in stone, I think it is a really, for me, one of the most beautiful, succinct frameworks that has been just consistent. It's just really been consistent and really accurate, crazy accurate too. So I'm going to be on again at 6 p.m. tonight. Lottie will talk straight away after this. But again, 6 o'clock tonight is the first live integration call with the I Am course, which is my foundational basics course in life, health, parenting, and business. And what we do in those is, even though people get access to the whole course, we jump on and we do basically 60-minute live coaching sessions to run through all your questions and answer all the questions that come up in that week for you. So Jess, I will see you tonight too. Jen, you're very welcome. For all the wisdom and gold, you're very kind. If you need a statement, this is something I do with my coaching clients. If you need a statement to help with the receiving, is to have a game, and you can even do it with your kids. This is a really fun one to teach your kids if you've got kids or a partner. Just say, I'm going to give you a compliment, and the only thing that you can say is, you're so right. And then in reverse, it's like, okay, now you have to give me a compliment, and the only thing I can say to you is, you're so right. And it's really uncomfortable, but it's going to tap you into, it's like, yeah, she's so right. My hair does look good today. All right, everybody, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you, lovely. I hope you enjoyed this talk. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening or night. Mwah. And I hope this is not the end of our journey and I get to see you again soon. Bye.